Welcome back to the show, folks. It's Thursday Tier Talk. Joining me, as always, my co-host, the Dazzler himself, Darren. How are we? A can of Guinness Draft Stout. Very nice. Very nice. Why not?
It was one of them days, man. I'm not gonna lie.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. If it's earned, it's
I don't
deserved.
Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't from work. Put it that way.
Okay.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah, well, let's get into the show. We're going to take a quick look back at the Champions League over the last 2 nights. Of course, you'll keep us updated on our friends at Old Trafford, which is more or less done and dusted at this stage. If you can't see it, I have it here on the phone. Anyway, I'll keep you updated if you like.
Yeah, I watched the first half. I gotta say, I know we're going to talk about the Champions League later, but been a long time since I enjoyed a game of football as much as I enjoyed Man City and Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
It was a really enjoyable game of football for multiple reasons. But when I spoke to your friend and my friend David about this the other day, friend of the show, sometimes having a team can actually spoil it for you. Because when you're a kid, of course, and somebody hands you a ball, you just go and kick it around. You just go play and, watching football is like, oh yeah, it's football, whatever. But then when you get a bit older, you're big into it and you're watching it and stuff. And then it's actually the colour of your team that can spoil it at times, because you could be watching a really great game, but if you're on the end of it, it doesn't look great, it doesn't feel great. Whereas I watched that City game the other night, I didn't have a horse in the race, I didn't care who won, and I just enjoyed every single minute of it. It was just wonderful. And I have to say, I think sometimes that the love we have for our clubs can blind us a little bit, and it can put those blinkers on us and only see things certain ways and only enjoy it when, we only enjoy it when we're winning. Well, I really, really enjoyed the City game the other night, and we weren't in any hand actor part involved in it, so we'll just go to show it,
Yeah, I think the one thing most people would attest to watching this podcast anyway is that we're both massive football fans. I mean,
Yeah,
can appreciate.
absolutely.
I mean, we're Graham Potter fans, we're Brighton fans, we're Brentford fans, we're Ivan Toney
Yeah,
fans.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we appreciate good football, and I suppose what happens is you go through kind of, you're growing up and you pin your master, your colours going through school and secondary school and stuff like that, and even well into your 20s going out with the lads to the pub and stuff like that. But I think once you sort of get into your church, that looks.
How's that look?
Actually. That looks well.
How's
covered.
that look? Have
That's
we done
as
that?
good as it gets. But you kind of. But I think once you get into sort of 30s maybe, or your mid 30s on, you kind of have more of appreciation for just good football and good sport, as opposed to the kind of shithousery that goes on when you follow United or Liverpool or Arsenal, or whatever it is. It gets a bit waning at times, and sometimes you just want to sit back with a bowl of popcorn and a pint and just watch a good game of football.
And you know what? That's what I did, and I watched it. We've watched, myself and Brody watched the first half of all 3 games: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because he goes to bed at halftime. He's allowed. Usually he's in bed before, but we extend, the bedtime until halftime in the match so that he can get to watch the first half. And he just loved it. And he's playing FIFA a lot now, and he's collecting cards and doing bits and pieces like that. So he's like, there's Sané and there's Goretzka, and you're like, Goretzka? How's this 8-year-old on the couch know who Leon Goretzka is?
Oh,
And he's like, and he's going, Dad, he had 12 goals and 6 assists last season in the Bundesliga, and you're like, what? It's just
get him on the podcast.
You're just like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah,
it just grips them. It's great.
Well,
and
they can pronounce the names far better than us as well. Because I'd say when we were 8, he would have been Goretzka.
yeah, absolutely.
We would have broke it down like in skill, whereas he just rocks up, Goretzka. Not a bother.
Well, you see, don't they have doesn't the commentator on FIFA now call out all the names?
Yeah, so they have it down.
So it's Goretzka, and then it's true to, such and such, and then it goes on, and he's like, because even some of the big names, he comes out with them, and I'm going, Jesus, where did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one was we played Dortmund versus Bayern a couple of weeks ago. Me and him played against each other, same thing, doing a few bits at the back there. Looked at their Slotterbeck. What? Like, Jesus, just deadly. Make you fall in love with it all over again, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get into the chat, folks, we will go down through your comments shortly now. They're piling up in there. I see one there from Morris, all right. He's asking, where was it? He was asking, is that the Nitro Surge? The point?
No, that's not. I do have a Nitro Surge, but I've no cans at the minute. So that's just a straight up draft.
Yeah, he says there's a nice head on that, Darren, on the point too.
Yeah, it looks good.
We'll come back to your comment shortly, folks. As you know, folks, we don't normally do a lot of content over the weekend unless I'm doing retro games, and we're not playing till Monday. But we do know this weekend we're coming up to the anniversary of Hillsborough, of course, which is a very important time of year for Liverpool fans and football fans alike, I would imagine. And hats off to Arsenal there the other day, who were perfect in observing the minute silence, and it was up and down the pubs in London from Arsenal fans as well. Great to see it and stuff like that, observed properly and stuff like that. But just, folks, just like to take a moment to mark Hillsborough, of course, Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Right, let's take a few comments and get this on the road. Henry, hi mate Niall, how are you, Henry? What's the crack, Niall? All good, Eno and Henry, and all the way down. And it's Dazzle Clock, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Dazzler friendies? Oh, good. Morris in the house. Top Bowley is misunderstood. We are going to be talking about Chelsea. We are going to fly through these previews and reviews tonight. We have plenty of news to talk about, and we want to get into it. And big up Morris. Easy on the Jameson whiskey. It's only Thursday. We haven't even started on the Jameson yet.
Might have a chaser later.
It takes pure skill to pour a perfect Guinness. Not many can do it. Absolutely. It's a bigger skill drinking it. Morris, good fella on the chat as normal. Absolutely. Morris always. Is that the Nitro Surge? That's the one I was telling you about earlier. No, it isn't. That's skill. We will remember those that have gone before us. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Henry. Yeah.
Never forgotten. Nice to see Arsenal have a bit of class. Not like Todd's Army last week. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. But you have to observe it. So, like, folks, we're going to get in. Let's talk. We'll talk Champions League. Let's do a quick review there. We're not going to dwell on it too long.
No.
Let's hit it from the top. The Milan one was the shock for me, and I thought Benfica would have put up a bit of a better fight. Chelsea.
So I actually did an accumulator for this. And as you said, I did City and Real, but I'd have drawn the Benfica game and I'd Napoli in the AC Milan game.
Yeah, the Napoli one's a shock. They had a sending off, didn't they? A Gusa or something?
Zambo, Frank Anguissa. He's ex-Fulham. Good footballer. Was very good actually against you boys there last year. Very, very good. The one thing I will say is, and I don't know if you've seen any of the highlights of the Milan game, our boy Magnon, the French goalkeeper who did Ireland out of result a couple of weeks ago, was in fine form again. Made some huge stops, like absolutely huge. Victor Osimhen is back for the second leg though, and it'll be in Naples. And I expect Napoli to come out all guns blazing. And unless Magnon is again man of the match and does something unbelievable, I expect Napoli to go through still here.
Yeah, I was of the exact same thinking as you. I expected Napoli, and I do expect Napoli to go through.
I thought Real put in a great performance against Chelsea. I thought Chelsea did okay to limit the damage. I thought actually 2-0 after going down to 10 men and stuff like that, and with the amount of pressure that they had to absorb, was quite a good result. I think the performance wasn't great, but I thought the result was good for Chelsea. And I know you're thinking you've lost 2-0. How could that be a good result? But they were absolutely peppered at times. You know, I imagine Wesley Fofana woke up this morning a sweat thinking about Vinicius Jr. and what he did to him last night. It was just, I mentioned it in our WhatsApp group when you're talking now. about the top footballers on the planet, and you're talking about the Kylian Mbappes, and you're talking about the Erling Haalands and stuff like that, because Messi and Ronaldo and Benzema and guys like that, and Luka Modric are on the wane, but guys like Vinicius Jr. are only starting to get to the top of that mountain, and we've got a lot of years ahead with this kid, and he's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I have to say, last night, looking at Real Madrid as well, it wasn't their best performance. You wouldn't call it a perfect performance from Real Madrid by any stretch of the imagination. They backed off
No.
quite a bit.
And actually, a lot of their bigger wins come away from home when teams come at them. Because when you go to the Bernabeu, a lot of teams will sit in and try and sit deep. And they don't necessarily break teams down as well as they could because they don't have the necessary space. But when we go to the Bridge next week, Chelsea are 2-0 down. They've got to come out like an absolute train. And as they do, the issue's going to be this Madrid team are going to catch it on the hop.
Same as what you forecasted when we went there, remember? For the second
absolutely. And that's they were awesome. They were awesome.
Absolutely. So I think looking at this, if we were to do a little bit of a prediction, we're not expecting anything to change, are we, except for Napoli?
No, I think we'll probably have City, Inter, Real, and Napoli. Which and I'll be honest, like if you're looking at City and Real, the other side of the draw is not amazing. Inter and Napoli. Inter are a good side. I don't think Napoli are a good side. I don't think Inter are a great side, if I'm honest. I really don't. They've been poor in Serie A and stuff like that. For them to get to a Champions League semi-final, this is huge. Really, really huge for them. Big, big plus. I do expect Napoli to get through against AC, and I do expect Napoli to beat Inter over 2 legs, and I expect to see Napoli in that final. And on any given day, with the firepower and with the defensive solidity that Napoli have and the way they can score goals, they're going to be a trouble to absolutely anybody on the day.
It's an interesting dynamic as well, isn't it? For everything that we say about Italian football and stuff like that, and obviously the drop off in Juve and everything else that has happened, you're going to have you have a quarter final there of Milan and Napoli, and you're probably looking at a semi final of Napoli and Inter, maybe. Possibly.
Now, listen. Here's the other thing: the draw was extremely kind to them because I think if Inter play City, Inter go out. And I think if Milan play possibly Chelsea or Benfica, they can still go out. And so I think there's a little bit of a kind of a false slant on that, slightly. Because when you end up with 2 Italian sides, invariably you're going to have one there. You know what I mean? And I think Inter got the best draw you could possibly get there, which was Benfica. So the draw helped them, The 4 big teams for me left in it are the 4 that got paired against each other in the quarters. City, Bayern, Chelsea and Real. But that's just the look at the draw, as they say.
Yeah, interesting. And we'll talk about Man City as well when we get through it as well. But that's our review. That's what we're thinking. Again, we'll be back on it next week. Let's fly through our Premier League preview.
Let's.
Right, so we start Aston Villa, Newcastle.
I suppose this should be a really, really good game. Both teams in good form. Newcastle 4 on the bounce. They've been unbelievable over the last couple of weeks. Villa Park, though, isn't the easiest place to go. I think Aston Villa are playing very, very well under Unai Emery. Another good win last weekend at home. And I actually think we could see Newcastle drop some points here. And that, for me, would be very greatly received. I think this is one of their tough games, Newcastle going to Villa Park. And I'm going to say 2-2 on this.
2-2. Good show. Chelsea, Brighton. Doesn't get any easier for Chelsea.
No, it really doesn't. And we talk about when teams play in Europe midweek and then they've got to play on the weekend and stuff like that. Chelsea been away in the Bernabeu. They've had a really, really tough game. They come back to the Premier League this weekend. They're 3:00 on Saturday. Tough game against Brighton. And I think Chelsea could be in trouble here. I really do. Because I think Brighton will love the fact that Chelsea are at home. And they love the fact that Chelsea will have the pressure on them after Wednesday night. And I think also Brighton have an added bonus this weekend. I think the added bonus is the PGMOL own them a favour from last weekend. I think, obviously the apology came out and stuff like that from the Spurs and Brighton game. And I think this is, when this happens, I think referees are going to look at this and think, we owe these guys something. How does this fall? I would not be surprised to see, something go Brighton's way that upsets Chelsea. But I'm going for Brighton here. I'm going for 2-1 Brighton. More misery on Frank and the boys at the bridge.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Chelsea in a little bit. Don't worry about that. I have a nice slide prepared that the circus is back, and I'll get your thoughts. I'm sure you'll agree with me on a lot of stuff I have on it. Dazzler drinking Black and Tans Guinness. I presume that's the Boyden thing. Did you see the comment about the rugby?
I saw it.
Good
I saw it.
Lord,
I was like, did somebody write the wrong thing, or did he just read it arseways? Which one? And then when I thought, I went, you know what? There's no way anybody wrote the Black and Tans. So he just took it up wrong. And, you know, listen, it is what it is.
This guy is the leader of the free world. It's very concerning, isn't it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny, huh? Sure is.
Yeah, Henry reckons City into the semis. I can't see Bayern winning at home 4-0. Absolutely not. They could. I mean, they did create chances, but I don't see it.
They did, but they weren't blunt or gilt-edged chances. You know, it was City had a lot in hand.
Yeah,
City, I gotta say, I thought City were awesome.
Yeah, the best of Bayern's play was actually in the build-up. Actually, to be honest, once they got there, then they kind of didn't know what to do.
Lots of guys I looked at in that City team, and I just thought, wow. You know, Ederson, faultless. I thought John Stones was very, very good. I thought the boy Akanji was excellent. He was a snip from Dortmund. I thought Rodri, not only the goal, but the way he controlled the midfield area was phenomenal. I thought Jack Grealish was superb and has been for a number of weeks. So a lot of the guys that maybe weren't the shining lights. I mean, if you look at those fullback positions, to have Stones and to have Aki in there, and actually be in a really good position where, you know, you would have probably thought of a Kyle Walker and a Benjamin Mendy or a Cancelo and guys like that. None of them involved. You know, one of them playing at the other end, the other guy locked up nearly or wherever he is at this stage. And City still churning out results. It was really, really good. Really, really good. I enjoyed it.
It's a testament to Pep's coaching as well, isn't it? A lot of these guys, these are new positions for these guys as well. So it's very, very impressive, you know. Everton versus Fulham.
Yeah, so I suppose I thought Everton were poor last weekend. Now, United played well, but I don't feel like they created and they were, you know, bossy enough in that game, because really the onus was on them to come and try and win that game at Old Trafford, and they didn't. They were off the pace from the word go. They kind of one chance throughout the whole game, which the Ellis Sims chance very early on, which he snatched at. And after he snatched at it, I think that was the end of their day. I thought United went through the gears well, did well, but I think we'll see a much better performance this weekend. And I think if you remember rightly, a couple of years ago, Marco Silva's head was turned at another club, and they fell off the edge of a cliff. And that's kind of what I'm seeing at the minute. And I see that continue this weekend. And you know what result? When Everton win games, what's the result now?
It's Everton winning both the score.
No, it's 1-0 to Everton.
Yeah.
It's 1-0 to Everton. So that's where I'm going this weekend. I'm going 1-0 to Everton. And I think they'll try and take a big step this weekend away from that zone.
I said a number of weeks ago that Fulham had ran out of gas a little bit. All right,
I think so. Very small squad, very difficult for them. When they lost Mitrovic, that was the kind of the letting out of the air, out of the balloon, you know.
Now I think they were unlucky last week a little bit as well. It was a Bobby Reid OG, wasn't it? As far as
they were, but they're very blunt when Mitrovic isn't in the side. Not only do you miss that focal point through the middle, but he also doesn't hold, you know, they don't hold the ball up as well, which means you don't get runners around them. So they miss a lot.
Yeah, I think everyone in the chat is more or less gone for Brighton at this stage. They've checked out on Chelsea. The Potter derby will end in tears for Fat Frank.
It might, you know.
He's going in hard. Got rid of the goatee beard. Handlebars gone. Have the old mustache gone. Fair play.
Good man.
Big up, Stevie. Good to see you there in the chat. Cheers, man.
Hey,
check
Stevie.
out Stevie's channel as well. Southampton versus Palace.
What a revival. What a revival under Roy Hodgson. Under Roy Hodgson. What a revival. I mean, I don't think anyone foreseen what happened last weekend at Ellen Road, you know. Yeah, and it was just the manner of They just started
10
churning
minutes of
them out.
madness after
Tempo
half-time.
when you just thought, my God, they could score at will here. And they did. They
Mm.
really did. And they got guys scoring who haven't scored. The boy AU's been very light on goals, and so was Addison Edward. And they both got on the score sheet. You know, Gahey done well, obviously, and Eze's been quality for them all season for my money. Really, really huge result. And I don't see it changing. They picked up 2 wins in a row. They beat Leicester. They beat Leeds. And I think they're going to beat Southampton. And I'm going for 2-1 to Palace.
That low? Not 5-1 or something, no.
No, I think
Southampton
are. I think Southampton are a bit better at the back than Leeds are, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
you know.
true.
And we like the boy Meslier, but he's now Gavin Bazunu.
No, that's true. Tottenham versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, I suppose this is a big game for Tottenham, obviously, with things kind of closing in around them, and Newcastle and United taking steps forward. If Newcastle were to drop points, this would be the opening of the door slightly for Spurs, and I don't see them dropping the ball here. I think Spurs will do this at home. I actually have 3-1 Spurs, because we know Spurs are a bit leaky at the back. The likelihood is they'll concede, but with the likes of Son and Kane on the pitch, you've always got an opportunity to score, and I think they'll outscore Bournemouth and they'll win the game.
Yeah, and I think Son picked up a goal the other day, didn't he? So he's starting to show a bit more.
It was a great goal. It was a great goal as well.
Absolutely. Wolves versus Brentford.
Yeah, I suppose Brentford have kind of not been themselves over the last couple of weeks. They dropped points against United, and then they dropped points against Newcastle last week as well. Ivan Toney scoring and missing a penalty. And we expected them to kind of come back after the United game, because we're a little bit toothless in the United game, you know. They didn't do it. I think what's going to happen here, and here's my prediction on it. I think the win last weekend for Wolves will be massive, and it'll be so massive that they'll take a deep breath and they'll relax a little bit. And I think when they relax, Brentford might hit them on this. Leeds went to Molineux a couple of weeks ago and did a good number on them, and it was kind of unexpected. I think with Brentford, it will be a little more expected. And I'm going to go Brentford to nick this, and I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, we're starting to are we starting to get a few teams now realising the positions that they're in? They're starting to think about their summer holidays and potentially moves and
absolutely
all that kind of thing as well. Yeah, absolutely. Man City versus Leicester.
I don't think the juggernaut is stopping this weekend, if I'm honest. Leicester have been poor. They've been poor everywhere, you know, from the goalkeeper to the back four to the midfield to the striker to the coach. They've been so poor all season. There's very few players at that club at the minute that can hold their head high walking around the place. Very, very few. Possibly the boy Madison and the boy Harvey Barnes. Other than that, there's a lot of really, really poor football being played at the King Power this season. I am going to go for Manchester City and both to score, and I'm going 4-1 City.
No new manager bounce?
I don't think so.
What did you make of the appointment?
If I'm honest, it's kind of like collecting your coat at about 10:30 and going, no, I'll just head home. You know, and that's not great, if I'm honest. We obviously what Leicester have done over the last number of years, you know, the FA Cup, the league and stuff like that, and the scout network that was obviously working very, very well at one stage with Mahrez and Kante and guys like this coming in for good money. This is a huge step down, Dean Smith. Huge, really, really is. I know.
Is this preparation for the championship?
Well, you see, I don't even believe if they do go down, he'll manage them next season. So I'm kind of looking, going, you know what? Again, it leaves me in that Chelsea position where am I better with Potter for the last 10 games or Frank? For me, you're better with Potter because he's a better coach, and he might be able to get things to work by tinkering and changing things. I think the same thing with Rodgers. I think, you know, Leicester have made a move and they've taken in a manager who basically couldn't lace Brendan Rodgers' Nikes. And I don't see it going well for them. I really, really don't. I think the Dean Smith appointment could be the final nail in their coffin.
Interesting. We shall see. West Ham versus Arsenal. Henry's gone for a 2-1 Arsenal win.
Yeah, I'm going Arsenal as well. I thought the game last weekend was great. Really, really enjoyed it. Liverpool and Arsenal. End to end. I thought Ramsdale at the end was unbelievable with a couple of great saves. But I think also Arsenal could have nicked it. And they had nicked games earlier on the season like that. Remember the game against Villa and stuff like that, the 3-2, and they nicked the game the week before then on a Saturday afternoon and stuff. And you kind of think, Jesus, their name on this trophy. And then they drop a point or two. I think last week will push at Arsenal on a little bit. I expect Arsenal to get the win on Sunday. But one of the deciding factors here for me was, again, the fact that West Ham have been away from home tonight in Europa League action.
Tough draw.
Tough draw in Ghent. You know, they'll obviously travel back to London. There won't be a whole lot of time for training and anything like that. They'll be getting in late. They might even have a day off tomorrow and just do set pieces on the weekend. I think Arsenal will do this. I think they've been a little bit vulnerable at the back of the last few weeks, Arsenal, with the Saliba injury. And I possibly see that continuing because I like the lad Bowen and stuff like that. I think there's Danny Ings is starting to pop up with a few goals. So I've actually gone for 3-2 Arsenal here.
3-2 Arsenal. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice one. Forest versus Man United. Henry's gone for a 1-1. I don't see that being the case.
No, listen, is it going to be tough going there on a Sunday afternoon in front of the cameras? Absolutely. Forest are fighting for their life. We know they are, and we know they've got some good players there. I just feel like United are starting to get a grip of this. A couple of weeks ago, we were on the slide, and then all of a sudden, a couple of victories. You know, we beat Brentford 1-0. We beat Everton 2-0. We're 2-0 up at the minute against Sevilla. We've tightened up at the back. We've started taking a couple of chances here and there. And I just think we'll do enough to get over the line. I think it'll be tough, though. I really do. So I've gone with United 2-1 here.
2-1. Are you thinking sort of United 2-0 and comfortable for a while and then Forest with a bit of a surge? Or are you thinking United laid on, maybe wearing them down? What's your thinking on it?
Look, I suppose, I think we've obviously got the game tonight. Generally, we won't come out of the traps very, very quickly on Sunday. I think it'll take a little while. I wouldn't be surprised to see Forest go a goal up or it to be 1-1 at one stage. And then I just think we'll grind it out in the end and just manage to get something past Navas toward the end to nick it.
Interesting. And then we rounded out Monday night, Leeds versus Liverpool. Henry's gone for a 3-1 Liverpool win.
Yeah, and you know, when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, Jesus, Liverpool have got to do something here, you know. And I thought Liverpool, and then when I kind of broke it down a bit, I said, you know what? Leeds have been a little bit of a bogey team for Liverpool recently. They put in a couple of great performances against you guys, even when you've managed to get over the line against them. But I think with the way Liverpool are playing at the minute and with how nervous things are at Liverpool, I think Leeds might just get something out of this, and I've gone for 2-2.
2-2. Interesting. I will be dropping a preview for the game. Obviously, I'll probably do it on Sunday. We'll see what happens. Joanne's going for a 2-1 win to Fulham at Goodison. Interesting. A bit of a bounce back there, maybe. Ian's looking like a sexy beast, baby. And Joanne, Southampton 2-2 with Palace. That's a big show. Good show, Joanne, but a big one. Morris, Leeds were pulled from that 16 Premier League tournament in America after that. I reckon they're afraid they will go down. Your TV coming through there or something? Or?
No, it was something else. Somebody tagged me in something on a social media channel and it popped up on the screen.
Joanne's looking for a big upset. Bournemouth 2, Tottenham 1. She's going for a big win against Wolves.
That would be a big upset, let's be honest now.
Big bounce back from Brentford as well, 3-0 at Wolves.
Yeah, I don't think that's a huge stretch. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Henry haven't done his fantasy Premier League team in Super 6 for the weekend, so looking for ideas. Absolutely. Check out our show tomorrow. It normally drops with Morris, Fantasy Chancer. He'll give you all the tips and picks for the weekend for your fantasy football.
How are you doing, Niall?
I've no idea. I think I'm down on 36th or 35th or something like that.
36th out of 42.
Yeah.
So
Bit
you're
of a drop
hovering
off,
dangerously close to the
like Liverpool.
yeah,
Like Liverpool.
dangerously close to the top four.
I was top just before Christmas.
That's right.
City will
And I
destroy
was way down the bottom early on, if you remember that.
Absolutely.
I'm up in 12th now. There's only 7 points between myself and Dean. So I'd be hoping for I think
a late surge.
I think top 4 is probably out of the question, but I'd like to believe I could get top 7 anyway. That's where I'm hanging my hat at the minute.
Not too bad from where you were.
No, absolutely not.
Joanne reckons Man City 5-0 and Henry Brentford 2-1. Tony with 2.
Yeah, I think I don't think you're miles away, Henry.
Joanne, West Ham 2, Arsenal 1. That's a huge show. You're a Gunners fan. That's a huge show. West Ham being away. Just getting through a few reruns of last year's matches. Nostalgia. What's Dean Smith got that Rodgers hasn't?
Nothing,
I would imagine. Acer City will rest all their best players next week in the FA Cup semi-final against Sheffield United. No, they will not. They certainly will not, and you can quote me on that.
Listen, who are they going to rest? Will they rest Haaland? Possibly, but you know what? When they rest Haaland, they bring in Alvarez. When they rest Haaland, they bring in Mahrez. When they rest Haaland, they bring in, other guys that can do a job, and all of a sudden you go, Jesus, is this where I am again? And it's very tough,
Pep
so there's a lot of
Pep don't rest guys.
No.
Ian, are you a Liverpool fan? I think he's a neutral, actually. I think did he say he followed Spurs or something? I'm not too sure. Forest 2, Man United 4.
I would take that. I would absolutely take that, Joanne.
Joanne's agreeing with you on a 2-2. Is that what you said? 2-2, didn't you, in the Leeds game?
I said 2-2 in the Leeds game. That's right.
Yeah. Diaz possibly start Monday with Nunez and Salah. I don't think he'll start. I think they'll bring him on. I don't think he'll start. Klopp again being so cautious. Don't follow any team, Henry. Only follow football games. That's what we were talking about at the start of the show, Darren. That's the best way to be.
Sure was.
Just enjoy football.
Well, I mean, all of us just enjoy it because you never, ever have that feeling of, fuck's sake, I have to go in here in the morning after getting beaten, or, it's a nice way to be.
We know it well, don't we?
We sure do.
Where are we going?
I have done my bets tonight, Niall, don't forget.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can go beat the bookie next.
No, we won't go beat the bookie next because we're doing well. We're only a half an hour in, so we're all good, mate.
It's okay.
Just taking some of these ones. Ian reckons 3-2 Liverpool. Henry, so the mirror didn't crack then, Ian. Love it. Don't need a mirror. I know, Dazzler. Just scored against Juve. Have just scored against
Juve. Have just scored.
Rabiot.
It wasn't Rabiot. It was Federico Gatti.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are going to lose. I don't think so, Joanne. I don't think so. That'd be devastating if they did. Right, let's talk first of all. I suppose before we move off from this, and I suppose the chat set the narrative in relation to the FA Cup. Man City, treble. Thoughts?
Okay, so they've Bayern, but they've nearly got it stitched up. They end up with Madrid in the next round. Very tough over 2 legs. Very, very tough. I couldn't back against them, but probably the toughest draw you could have had. And then possibly Napoli in a one-off game where, again, anything can happen. So, difficult.
Yeah, you're kind of looking at the Champions League, aren't you? And you're thinking we kind of need an unusual winner again. It crops up every so often, doesn't it? And Napoli would be that team.
Yeah, they would. In the league, obviously, they're 6 behind Arsenal. If a game in hand, and if to play Arsenal. So at the minute, you'd say it's kind of neck and neck, isn't it? Arsenal could do themselves a huge favour and go and beat Man City, and if they do, listen, that could nearly seal the title for them. So again, there's a lot on that game there, and then obviously in the FA Cup, you imagine they're going to get through to the final, and then it'll be us or Brighton that stand in their way. Again, I think either us or Brighton could beat them on a one-off game, as has been proven this season. I wouldn't go in with any fear. It certainly to me doesn't, and I suppose I have to be careful how I word this, because I was looking at Liverpool possibly winning a quadruple at one stage, and that frightened me. City winning the treble doesn't frighten me yet, which possibly means it might happen.
Yeah.
And if it does, they'll match our treble with the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the Premier League. And listen, if they do, I don't think we can have any arguments. They've been one of the top clubs in Europe for the last number of years. They've got some phenomenal players. They've got a great stadium. They could probably do getting a few extra fans, other than 7, 8, and 10-year-olds. But I mean, other than that, it's a well-run club. There's not a lot you can say about them, really, is there?
Yeah, this is kind of on a knife edge, isn't it? This could be everything or it could be nothing.
Yeah. Now, listen, do I expect them to get... I would be shocked if they didn't get their hands on one piece of silverware. Let's put it that way. But is it a stretch to imagine that, Real knocked them out?
No.
And then that, Arsenal managed to beat them and hang on. And then they go into an FA Cup final a little bit dejected that they're not going to a Champions League final, and they've just lost down a league title. The performance might not be everything it needs to be, and if it's not, they might get picked off by Brighton or United. And all of a sudden, you're going down the tunnel at Wembley thinking, we've won absolutely nothing this season, and we've been one of the best teams in the last number. It would be very difficult, but completely
I'm thinking when you talk back to the quad, I'm thinking, well, at least we got 2 domestic cups. We didn't come away with nothing.
Absolutely, and listen, 2 domestic cups is a huge achievement. We know there's four trophies on offer every year. If you offered Spurs, an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, would they take your hand off? They take your hand off. Would Newcastle? Absolutely.
Spurs will take your hand off for a Community Shield.
Right, would Villa, would Leeds, would a lot of these clubs that we talk about being big clubs. So, you got to say, it's no mean feat to go away with 2 domestic trophies. But if you want to be sitting at the top table, it's got to be a Premier League or a Champions League, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Big up, Daz. Good to see you in there, mate. Hope your birthday was great last week. I hope you really enjoyed it, mate. Good to see you in there.
Happy birthday, Daz.
Of course, always gamble responsibly, folks. Absolutely. Morris.
Or with someone else's money.
Treble isn't out of the question. Think Madrid will do them. Yeah, interesting. That's what Darren's going to say. Would Pep walk away from City if they win the treble? No,
I don't think so. I think he'd be more likely to walk away if they didn't win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just think City will win everything this season. That's how it's looking. City
they won't
are
win
11th.
everything because we've obviously
the
got
treble.
Carabao already.
What's left? Yeah. City are 11-1 to win all Premier League games. That's a great bet. They won 14 on the spin against us to catch us, didn't they? City versus Arsenal is title decider. Could very well be. But let's say there's plenty of football still to be played. Anything can happen. I just got a feeling about Sunday. Joanne, don't get positive about it. Don't think that way. Tottenham only deal in teacups. Absolutely.
We shall see.
Let's get on to this one. I want to get your thoughts on this one because I'm kind of not close enough to it. But we're entering into a 3rd round of bids. We know the Selikas, is it, or what's his name? The other guy?
Yeah, the other lad. We'll just call him the other lad.
The other lad, he's pulled out, yeah. The guy who just wanted a bit of advertisement, really.
I think there was a lot of people who imagined that this was going to happen, that he was going to pull the plug on this at one stage or another. And I think this is him saving face. Yeah. I think he understood it's a little bit beyond what he was going to be able to do. And I think he stepped aside. I think he stepped aside and he's gone, you know what? Oh, the Glazers, blah, and whatever, and tried to throw them under the bus a little bit. And that's not to say that there's no blame to be laid at their door either, because I think they're tactically doing a lot of things right now. Because every round of bidding, the share price at Old Trafford has increased. So business-minded gentlemen that they are, They're playing a blinder right now.
The Cash Money Brothers. The Cash Money Brothers. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah, no, it was very obvious
here's
with
the
the other
thing.
guy, wasn't he? He jumped into the ring as a middleweight with heavyweights, didn't he?
How much money has the stock increased by, and what does that get you in the summer?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and a lot of fans will say, "Oh, they're not going to spend, they're not going to do this." Well, you know what? Actually, they may have just done something really, really clever, and they may have just bought themselves a war chest in the summer by letting two guys go at each other for this club, in the hopes that it was for sale and they could get their hands on it. I'm gonna reference a friend of mine, Kirk Loco. Kirk's a big United fan, and he's on. We're on a forum together and stuff like that, the United forum. Mm-hmm. And Kirk doesn't necessarily believe that the club is for sale. He doesn't necessarily believe that the Glazers are going to walk away. He doesn't necessarily believe. Oh, Sevilla
just scored 84th minute.
That is not good. Something tells me it's a howler because of the way De Gea has his head in his hands. And now the camera is in on Malacia. Ball. Where's the ball? Okay, ball comes in. Malacia. Let's get out the edge of the area. Flicked in. Wow, that's unlucky. Did you see that?
No.
Ball goes out and is lifted towards the back stick. And as it's lifted towards the back stick, one of the Sevilla players is there and he tries to cut the ball back. And as he cuts the ball back, it hits Malacia, hits De Gea's body and bounces into the front post. It's extremely unlucky. There does seem to be a stoppage for a second. I'm not sure what it is, whether they're looking at the goal, whether now there's someone coming on. There's been an injury here or somebody's lying on the ground. Who's that? That is Martinez. Lisandro Martinez. He looks like he's a head injury. Very, very unlucky goal. The Sevilla lad goes to... Is that in the build-up? Oh, is he tackled in the build-up? He might be, Or is this after tip? I'm unsure. Okay, that's a proper injury to Martinez because there's nobody near him when he goes down. He takes a touch with the ball at his feet and he looks up as if he's about to spray it somewhere. And as he does, he just stops and pulls up.
That's not good.
That's not good. And everybody is down on the ground, patting him on the head. He is being helped off by two Sevilla players, would you believe? Two Sevilla players are carrying him.
Did he get a bang in the head or something? Did he? No.
No. It's his ankle. It's his right ankle. It's his right ankle. It does not look good. It really does not look good because he's standing and he has the ball at his feet and he looks up as if he's going to spray some sort of a ball. And as he does, he's got his head in his hands. He's absolutely bawling his eyes out crying. This could be ligaments. This could be something.
Season ending.
He has his head in his hands. He's bawling his eyes out crying. This is... I don't see this kid playing again this season. This is it. I do not see this kid playing
That's a again huge this season. Loss for United. Huge loss.
Wow.
Yeah. And I presume Martial went off earlier, substitution. Was that just a standard substitution? He didn't go off with something.
I'm not sure. So it was actually when we were involved here. I'll just have a quick look on my phone because that might tell me what time and that might
go ahead and I'll go through the comments anyway. Pep is coming up to 7 years at City. Klopp is 8 years at LFC in October. Yeah, absolutely. Arsenal will drop more points than City in the Premier League.
So Martial came off after 72 minutes. Sorry, 62 for Weghorst, and Bruno came off for Christian Eriksen. It looked like he was just setting things up to get a few guys off the pitch and kind of hold on. But now it's 2-1. Now Sevilla are pressing. Now you've got Martinez gone off, and they couldn't have given it.
That's a disaster after that first half. You were so in control.
And you know what the real scary thing is? They're calling the goal scorer. Now, it's an OG. It's 100% an OG. Because the guy who gets to the line and cuts it back it's going like back towards the penalty spot. And then it hits Malacia, and then it hits De Gea, and then it goes in. But the guy who checks the ball back is Jesus Navas, ex-Man City.
Yeah. It flashed up actually as an OG and then flashed back as Jesus Navas.
It's 100% an OG. I've seen it. It's definitely an OG.
They'll change it. Yeah.
He's cut the ball back. Yeah. He's cut the ball back as it's going out, like. And it's going to the penalty spot and it hits Malacia and goes in. So it's definitely not a Jesus Navas goal.
I would just say to Aisters on this comment here, just before you go on, there's not a billionaire on this planet that is a money hungry. Be very,
absolutely.
Aisters is agreeing with your own goal. What did you want to say there? Go ahead.
True enough.
I don't know about that.
I don't know whether this will happen. I know, Radcliffe wants it. He probably really doesn't have what needs to be there. There's a lot of leverage going in with the Radcliffe bid. He's not clearing any of the debt and stuff like that. So there's a lot. I think obviously the Qatari lads have the money. They want the club. But I think the Glazers are trying to wring every red cent out of them. I don't necessarily. I think what might happen is, I think after the next round of bidding, I think Radcliffe will bow out after the next round. And I think after the next round, what's going to happen is you're going to end up with the Qatari sitting on one side of the table and the Yanks sitting on the other side. And it's going to be a situation where, the Glazers say we want 6. The Qatari say we're paying 5. And if they can come to some sort of middle ground and get the deal done at 5.25 or something like that, 5.5, I think everybody leaves. But I do not see the Glazers being bent over for this at all. I certainly see them putting up a fight for the club if they don't get what they're looking for. And I think they quite easily would walk away from a deal if they had to, or if they felt like they weren't getting what they wanted.
Yeah, well, I mean, worst case, they have a lot of investment lined up anyway, don't they? So it's
and the other thing you've got to remember is, like, when a lot of this stuff was muted, we weren't in a great place. And all of a sudden now you've got Ten Hag and you've got, some of the signings that he brought in.
Way more attractive.
We've got a trophy. We'll possibly have Champions League football, way more attractive, as you say. And we're going to be in the mix for some good players this summer. And, they might not fancy getting rid of this right now.
Yeah, well, as we've said before on previous podcasts, brands like this don't come up for sale a hell of a lot, you know what I mean? In our lifetime, how many times are we going to see Man United sold? Maybe 3, max 4, maybe?
89 minutes on the clock. David De Gea with a great save from a header going bottom corner to make it 2-2. A really good save. It bounces in front of him and he turns around the post. Done very, very well. As usual, Big Dave. Big Dave, he makes saves. Isn't that what they say?
Big Dave.
6 or 8 minutes.
Who some of the fan base want gone. There,
6 or 8 minutes on the clock here. It's soaking up an awful lot of pressure here. Yeah. I'm going to make a call.
2-2.
I don't think we get out of here with a win. Not with the amount of pressure that's being soaked up right now.
That'd be so disappointing after the start. After that first half, that would be. I mean, I expected this to run out 4 or 5 and play the kids next week.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing that would be, would be a letdown is obviously Bruno got a yellow card earlier on, so he's out of the next leg as well. Next week, yeah.
Jeez, crashing.
And Sevilla have scored. It's 2-2.
No way.
Sevilla have just scored. It's 2-2.
Dare I say there's enough time to get a winner? Should I even say that? Daz is asking here, Darren. Rashford. We know he's missing for the Sevilla games and probably a few others. He's probably going to miss about, 3-4 games, I'd say?
Yeah, 2 to 3, I think. But he's missed. This is first, and I think Yeah. Ball in. Sorry, we're on the floor here. Ball in.
Going through the comments. Acers. Martinez went over on his ankle.
He did. Now, that's a good. Oh no! Was that a deflection? Is that a second deflection? It's a second deflection. The boy El Nasiri gets up at the back stick to win the header. He goes to head it back across goal, and as he heads it, he heads it into the side of Harry Maguire's head and ends up in the bottom corner. That's the second. It's actually the third goal on the night, because the only goal that hasn't had a deflection so far was Sabitzer's second. But the other 3 goals have all had massive deflection to pass the goalkeeper. The first one, Sabitzer's first one, looped up off the defender Markel to head over Bruno. The second one, the first Sevilla goal is the boy Jesus Navas. He cuts the ball back into Malacia, who flicks it in off De Gea, and then that goal has gone in off Harry Maguire. This is 2-2, and this is not a good result for United right now. This is not a good result for Man United right now. Where's the ball going?
Morris reckons you should take Phil Jones out of the
ball is going wide. The ball that El Nassiri gets up and heads.
Hits Maguire, going wide.
It's going, he heads it back to the right-hand side. It hits Maguire and shoots left across the keeper and into the bottom corner.
Jeez.
It's like the 2 goals that they've scored have been like fucking ping pong.
It could only happen, couldn't it? Ian is in senior moment at the age of 41, nearly poured apple juice into my daughter's tea.
Jesus.
Henry, like pouring sugar on the veg instead of salt. Yeah, absolutely, Henry.
What was the famous one out of Only Fools and Horses? Remember, Grandad made the coffee up in the gravy jug, and when they cooked the dinner for Raquel's parents, they poured Maxwell House over the fucking dinner. Quality.
Still 1-0 to Juve. If you were interested, Pogba remembers how to play footy. Don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a stretch, isn't it?
They can't wait to get shot. Didn't they ban him for a month over shenanigans and stuff and all, and they put him down into reserves? Another OG.
That's funny. Can you see that? It said score correction. United 3, Sevilla 1, because they're giving it to Maguire. It's not. It's 2-2.
Someone's having fun in the live score studio. Aces, I told you that Sevilla knocked United out of Europe. 2 meetings, 3-piece on the cards. Listen, big shout if you were shouting it at halftime. At halftime, you were in total control. Right, let's talk about this one, and then we'll get into Beat the Bookie. I mentioned to you earlier that I thought that the circus, Uncle Albert Acers are saying Uncle Albert with the gravy.
That's right. It was brilliant.
What did you give me your thoughts on last night? We've a lot of issues here to unpack at Chelsea at the moment and stuff. This is I feel the circus is kind of back a little bit. So, I listed a few things today that I thought are really, really important, and ex-players going in on them and stuff like that, and kind of rightly so, you know what I mean? Reece James and Ben Chilwell, I think, have come back and really looked shadows of themselves, especially Reece James. No striker or forward players capable of scoring. Obviously, Aubameyang is kind of in and out, but doesn't seem to do the business anyway. Everyone up front seems blunt as hell. Bowley once again with these stupid comments. You seen it yesterday, we're going to beat them 3-0. Ambitious to say the least.
That should have been 3-2.
They're still on the attack here.
They're still on the attack. Ball in from the corner. I'm watching this on the live TV.
They've had 12 attempts now. 12 attempts. They didn't get a lick in the first half nearly.
6.5 minutes gone. And they put a corner in here, and as somebody at the back stick gets up and puts it wide, possibly should have hit the target. He gets rid of it. And that is the final whistle. It's 2-2.
Horrific.
I suppose horrific. Dreadful result. Absolutely dreadful. We should have been 4-0 up at half time. And the old saying goes, when you don't take your chances, you get punished. And that's what's happened.
Yeah. So just looking here. Down through some of this. Yeah, no, you go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. So, I suppose for me, I watched last night, and one of the only players for me who looked like, he belonged at that level was Reece James. I thought last night he did some very good things. I thought he defended well. I thought he attacked very well, and I thought he was Chelsea's best player, if I'm honest. I know he's been in and out of the team with injury, but I genuinely think the boy Reece James is world class. Chilwell, on the other hand, has found himself in some difficulty. Obviously, last night it's a really rash decision. You kind of think the boy Rodrigo he'd been playing quite well, but he hadn't been necessarily pinpoint accurate. So maybe let him go in on the keeper, see if the keeper can stop it. If not, it's only 2-0. But you at least have 11 men on the pitch and you're not out of the game next week. I thought it was a really, really bad decision for what Chilwell did. I think going forward, you're right. No strikers, nuts. With all the money they've spent, just absolutely mental that they haven't got an out-and-out 9 at the club right now. I heard Bowley's comments as he came out of the restaurant. I just thought, why are you opening your mouth? Just say nothing and get in the car. Sometimes, as my dad used to say, if you have nothing nice to say or nothing clever to say nothing at all. He just keeps putting his foot in it. I thought that the Lampard thing, bringing Lampard back in, was, it was as clear as mud. He didn't know what he was doing. Really, really poor decision. I think if you're gonna bring Lampard in that case, you keep Potter till the end of the season. I heard the special things can happen at Stamford Bridge again. I just thought, you're clutching here. You're really clutching, and I think if I'm Real Madrid, I'm thinking, you're right, lad. Special things can happen. We're gonna absolutely rip you a new one next week. Sorry. Felix, again, I've got to be honest, I like the boy Felix. I can see, statistically at times he maybe isn't as good as he needs to be. But I think when you look at his all-around play, the way he holds the ball up, the way he brings others into the game, how when he picks the ball up, he attracts defenders and creates space. He's not a 9 though. He's a 10 at a push. He's not a wide player because he doesn't have the speed to go boy players. So you've got to have square pegs and square holes. Cucurella, this was something I spoke about before the season kicked off. This was mental. They should have just let Cucurella join City. Cucurella wasn't the right boy for Chelsea, because they generally don't play a 5. And when they do, Chilwell plays as the left back. Is Cucurella better than Chilwell? I don't know. Would I be willing to pay 65 million for a guy who was going to be my backup or play as a left-sided centre-back where he can't play? Absolutely not. Mental decision.
Mudryk can't play in a tree.
Right. Mudryk has looked decent on occasion, but isn't necessarily getting the game time. Badiashile, I thought, was looking unbelievable, and then was pulled out of the team. And I'm going, he was one of, Badiashile, Koulibaly, and Fofana, who they were starting to look really, really solid as a back 3 with 3 centre backs. Yeah. And he took Badiashile out to try and get Cucurella in the back 5 to, warrant the money that they paid for him. And you're just going, this isn't working. And then Havertz again is another guy. You look at Havertz, he's a 10. You look at João Felix, he's a 10. You look at Mason Mount, he's a 10. There's so many guys in that Chelsea team that want to play 10 or should be playing 10. They've no number 9. They don't have enough width. And they don't. And the guys who do want to play 10 aren't being allowed to play there. And you're like, this is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. More square pegs and square holes. You're right. It's a circus. It's an absolute circus.
I want to talk about, first of all, a lot of Arsenal fans sometimes go in on Arteta and stuff like that, and we always give him his flowers. We think he's doing a great job there and stuff like that. We can see what he's doing. We can see the plan. And when that deal from Mudryk got stupid, he was the one who made the call and went for Trossard. And what a move that's planned out to be. And he deserves all the compliments in the world for that. Now, the other thing I would say...
the only thing I was going to say around that is, if Mudryk goes into that Arsenal team, he can look a different player because Arsenal are playing the way they're playing. They're creating space. They're creating time. And if Trossard goes into the Chelsea team, again, he can die on his knees. And then we have Mudryk's name taken out here and we got Trossard put in where Frank and Potter have ruined another player. Well, necessarily, that's not correct. But the fact is, because you've gone into a team that are floundering and a team that aren't being run very, very well, that can be the illusion that's given off.
Yeah, but you're also, when you look at Mudryk at the moment, and here's a big shout for this, Mudryk at the moment looks like he'd rather be back in the Ukraine, currently in war, back at Shakhtar Donetsk, than he would at Stamford Bridge. And that's a shocking thing to think. Morris is in, he thinks they need a whole flood of stuff, and we're not surprised. I mean, we know that it's been kind of, you've mentioned the forced scattergun.
Yeah, they They're talking about Martinez's Achilles possibly gone.
Gone.
If your Achilles is gone, you could be talking 9 months. That could be huge. And that probably affects your spend in the summer as well, unfortunately. But if I look at, can you just pop Morris's comments up again there about the squad? So, I mean, it's clear as day for me anyway that neither Kepa nor Mendy are good enough to be Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper. Now, there are options. Queven Keller will probably leave Liverpool this summer. He's an option for Chelsea, if you ask me. Is he better than the two lads? Absolutely, 100%. I think.
Oh, you're going as far as an option as number one, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now that you said it, it's coming to me. Yeah, I was thinking you were going to drop something there and put him in as a number two, but obviously he's not.
No. He's not leaving Liverpool to go and become a number two somewhere else. That's not going to work.
Absolutely.
So he's got to be right. So you've got then Kelleher as an option. You've possibly got Gavin Bazunu of Southampton go down, and been very, very good for them this season. You've got Dean Henderson, who will more than likely be on his way out of Manchester United and is a very sellable asset. And then across West London, you have the boy David Raya, who is not going to sign a new contract at Brentford, so will leave this summer. I think he's probably Chelsea's most likely target. I think David Raya will end up at Chelsea. I think he'll be backed up by Kepa, and I think Mendy will probably be shown the door. Unless Kepa decides, I'm not here for the bench, in which case Mendy will sit on the bench and Kepa will head somewhere else.
They probably both go, didn't they? Because they did confirm that Mendy will be gone at the end of the season anyway, that he was surplus to requirements a few weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's, you've a few bits up in the air there. Forwards wise, we know they've got Christopher Nkunku coming in the door. They probably need a little more width on either side as well. And Nkunku again is like a 10. He's not a 9. He's not an out-and-out 9. Can't play 9. Can't play as a false 9. But his best position is probably as a 10. They need another wide player, and they absolutely need a 9. So, I mean, you're looking at 2 to 3 forwards there. In that midfield, you're probably talking another couple of centre midfielders. And then maybe you need a right back to back up Reece James, and you possibly need a left back if you decide to sell on Cucurella or Chilwell to have the other guy be your number one. So a lot of work to do. 6 or 7 maybe at Chelsea again this summer.
Yeah, and I suppose it depends, as you said, it depends on who comes in as manager as well and what he wants to do. He might come in and go, Mudrik's not for me, Felix is not for me, whatever it is, Raheem Sterling's not for me.
The thing with Felix is only a loan for now, so that's not a big issue. Like if he had
but the talk is they're working on a move, and it's going to cost a lot of money as well. But I'm thinking maybe that's why Bowley put in Frank in there at the moment, not to rock the boat instead of bringing in a top manager. And what happens is if a top manager came in, he'd straight away be saying, right, get rid of him, get rid of him, get rid of him. A lot of these guys could be Bowley signings, and it mightn't look too good.
Maybe.
And I was only thinking of that today, that maybe that's the case. Morris is certainly enjoying the situation at Chelsea. He's right 2 ways. There's absolutely disgraceful second half. Goldbridge on the United stand going mental with United defending. Not unusual. Malacia want to be getting the head punched off him for going to sleep. Look, how much game time has he really had? And sure, he's really only a backup for Shaw, isn't he? Let's be honest.
I don't think he's done that badly. I think, at times guys are going to make mistakes, and the timing of those mistakes are going to be highlighted by the outcomes of the games. If we win this game 3-1, maybe the talk isn't that we need to punch the head off Malacia, but I do understand where Ted is coming from. And
I think he was better earlier on in the season, wasn't he? He was playing really, really well.
No, I got to be honest, I thought the last couple of games he came in, he's been very good.
Yeah, but it's hard to come back in as well when Shaw's been playing so well as well and keeping you out of the team for an extended period of time or whatever, Ian's going to hit the hay, fellas. Yeah, enjoy it, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ian.
And Ted's there. In general, I like Malacia, but that was terrible tonight. Yeah, no, that's fair enough, and that can happen.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
Let's get on and finish out then with Beat the Bookie time. So, as always, gamble responsibly, please. But let's start. You can kick us off.
I've got 2 for you.
Nice.
And I've used my predictions to put my bet together. So this is something I've started to do now.
We're always conscious of that. Because sometimes the bets can destroy your predictions.
So I've just gone for 2 nice and simple accumulators. The first one, Everton home against Fulham.
Okay.
Second one, Crystal Palace away against Southampton.
Yeah.
We gone for Brentford away at Wolves.
Okay.
And finally, we've gone for Brighton away at Chelsea.
That has to be a big price.
4 wins, not resulting about to score, just 4 flat wins.
4 straight wins, yeah.
It's 40-1.
It's not too bad. It's a nice one.
Yeah, I like that one, I have to say. I really like that one. And my second one, I've gone for 2 London clubs, the 2 North London clubs, Spurs and Arsenal, result and both to score. And I've gone for the 2 Manchester clubs, City United, result and both to score. So we got Tottenham, Arsenal, City and United, all 4 teams to win and all teams to score in the game. So result and both to score, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's 75-1.
Nice. I like that. Daz is in the comments. Did I have a look at the National? Yeah, I didn't, Daz. What I'll do is I'll have a look at the National tomorrow and I'll post a short on it. I haven't really been paying much attention to it, but we will have a look at it and we pick out something. I Darren, you know, I bought a share. Well, it's a share thing for Ben for his birthday last year. A horse called You'll Never Walk Alone. And it was due to run. It was due to run back in November and it broke down in training. And apparently it's going to run in May. It's listed to run in May. It's back in training and everything. It's all going well. So I'll keep you posted on that one if I see it come up. But Ben has a share in it that I bought for his birthday. Bit of crack. Now there's probably hundreds of shares in and stuff like that. But because he's an owner, he gets the email and he gets invited over if he wants to go over and see the horse train, and they go into a ballot and all if you want to go to the race on the day and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of crack.
It's cool. It's a nice idea.
Yeah, so it's a bit of fun. So
we like things like that, don't we?
Yeah, we do have to mention Ted. Didn't Ted drop a tasty little treble last week? That came in, as far as I know. Was it a treble?
He sure did. He might actually pop it in for us. I think Palace was one of the teams he backed.
Yeah.
And I think Newcastle, were another one of the teams he backed. I think there was a treble and it was 18-1. Ted.
Yeah, it was a nice 18-1. I know he hit us up on asking us did we do it. So, but he's going this week. Newcastle, Fulham, Palace, Brentford, all to win 62.5-1. We'll give you 63 on a Ted. We don't deal here in decimal points.
Sure, don't you know?
We always round up. The bookies don't, but we do. I'll give you I've got 3 bets here tonight for you. As always, I do my Saturday treble, all draws.
Okay.
I'm sure you probably have no problem picking them. It's do you want to have a blast at the 3 I did?
And the Saturday draws.
3 Saturday draws, the treble I did. It's 35-1.
Right.
It should be obvious.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Well, Chelsea.
Yeah. Spot on.
Everton.
No.
Southampton.
No.
Then it's not that easy to spot them. Who else have you gone for with Chelsea?
I went Chelsea, Brighton, Wolves, Brentford, and Aston Villa, Newcastle.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd go for the Villa Newcastle one. That was the only one I didn't think. I had the Brentford Wolves one, but yeah. I think Newcastle are Villa are playing well at the moment, as are Newcastle and stuff like that. So that could end up being game of the weekend. Actually, looking at it, yeah, sure could.
There's the one Ted did. Newcastle, Spurs, and Palace last week, all 8-1. Nice.
Good man, Ted.
Tidy little.
Lovely, Ted. I love that.
Make sure you're following them. So then I did your favourite bet, which is both teams to score and result. So I did Palace to beat Southampton. Both teams to score.
Palace to beat Southampton. Both score. Lovely.
I did Spurs to beat Bournemouth. Both teams to score.
Lovely.
Which is an iffy one. And Man City to beat Leicester. and both teams to score.
So you weren't miles away from mine.
No, and that's 42-1. I
Nice.
think that's a nice bet. Now, Spurs Bournemouth could be a little bit iffy, but Spurs have been coughing up goals. And we know that man Billing is in great form at the moment for Bournemouth, isn't he?
That's
He's
right.
really playing well. Don't see him being there next season the way he's playing. So the three of those, so Palace to beat Southampton, Spurs to beat Bournemouth and both to score, obviously, and Man City to beat Leicester and both to score. The Leicester one might be a concerning one. I don't know whether Man City will cough up a goal to Leicester or not. Leicester are a little bit off.
Excuse me. Yeah, but I think City could possibly, after the European game, be a little bit slow out of the traps. And, excuse me, and we know Leicester won't. And at times they can be very aggressive with the likes of Madison's and Dakas and Vardy's and Harvey Barnes and Ikanachos and stuff. So I don't think I'd be shocked if they nick them.
Yeah, so 42-1 for that one. Tight little price. And then I finished up. I haven't done one in a while. A handicap bet I did. So I did a treble again. So I did Liverpool -1, which you won't agree with from your picks. I did United -1. United to do one on Forest. And I did Arsenal -1 with West Ham being away on their European travels. And the treble, all -1s, 18-1.
I was going to say 20s. 20s was my guess. I reckon it's a little bit of a stretch. I just think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But listen, there's no such thing as a bad winner.
No. Absolutely not. Daz is in. Liverpool to beat Leeds and United. Liverpool to beat Leeds, United and Southampton. Not too bad. Liverpool to beat Leeds, United and Southampton. Southampton to beat Palace, you reckon? Interesting.
That'd be a stretch, wouldn't it?
That could be the one that could pull you up. But look, especially with the run Palace are on at the moment with Roy in there, so let's see what happens. But I mean, surely it will come unstuck. It's not going to keep them going as well as it is at the moment because they're off the scale at the moment. I think that's everything. If I'm right, we've covered everything tonight. So I think we're all done. Another good show in the bag.
I just have a little shout out. Just a little one. Because we got an anniversary here in the house today. Rosanna's granny. She passed away 4 years ago. And just wanted to give her a big shout out because she was a smashing old lady. Really was. This is one of the last pictures we got with her, which was on our wedding day.
Oh, lovely.
And very sorely missed, but never forgotten. So I just want to give a little shout out there to Kitty.
Now, was that your wedding day or was that the Debs? You look well there now. You brush up.
That was the wedding day. I do. Telling you.
You look well.
Yeah.
Very
amazing what 5 years will do, isn't it?
The road is long, but the journey will be worth it.
Oh, God. Yeah, I tell you.
Ted is in. Grealish and Saka to score is 8-1. I do like that, Ted. Morris RIP, great show. Thanks for that, Morris. Appreciate it.
I hit the crossbar last weekend with 2 goal scorer bets. And I'm going to make an attempt to tell you what they were now. So the first one I did was I did a championship anytime goal scorer. Tom Cannon for Preston against QPR, he got 2. And I did the boy Iliman and Doi for Sheffield United against Wigan, and he got 1. And I was missing Tyrese Campbell against Bristol. Stoke lost the game, but that was 35-1. So I hit the bar with that one. That was Saturday. And Sunday, I hit the bar with another goal scorer bet. And the one I hit the bar on Sunday was the first bet was from Friday because the championship games were on Friday. The second bet I did, and again, this was, where's the odds there? This was 80-1. So I had Ivan Toney against Newcastle. He obviously missed a penalty but scored. Harry Kane against Brighton, he got 1. Ollie Watkins against Forest, he got 1. And the only one that let me down was James Maddison, Leicester versus Bournemouth. So I got 5 out of 7 of my 2 goal scorer bets, but I didn't get either one of them up, unfortunately.
Jeez, that's a sick night. You did well.
Yeah.
You did well. You did well. Yeah. Of course, again, I hadn't got you on Monday, but obviously tonight, congratulations to Burnley on being promoted. What a job Vincent Company has done there. Outstanding. I
And
know
has
you love
been
the championship.
linked with some very, very big jobs over the last couple of days.
And if he's any sense, he'll be advised, don't be going near the White Hart Lane one.
Absolutely, or whatever that stadium's called these days. Yeah,
the
I
new
think
White Hart Lane.
I think it would be a mental decision for him to go anywhere near there. I can see why Daniel Levy's doing it. You know, I can see obviously Arteta comes in to Arsenal. He's been under Pep. What has he learned? And then you see obviously you look at Company who's gone out to Anderlecht, but who was previously under Pep, and now he's come in at Burnley and they play some amazing football. You know, two managers from the top of the championship, both heavily linked with the Spurs job. Vincent Company and Michael Carrick. What does that tell you?
Who would have thought it? I would definitely lean towards Michael Carrick more than Vincent Company anyway, in terms of the Spurs connection and stuff like that. Absolutely, I wouldn't be going near.
I think for either of them, it's their Graham Potter moment, isn't it? This is such a big club. It's difficult to say no. However, it's also, if things fail epically here, which at Spurs we know they can, it's a long road back.
So unlucky, Ted. So unlucky with that one. Yeah, absolutely. As I was congratulating Burnley on Monday, a thought flashed by my mind that we'll both speak about, of course, quickly. We both have to make a visit to Turf Moor again next season, which is absolutely horrible.
It's not a nice place to go. Even the Burnley players don't like it particularly that much, you know.
Absolutely rotten.
Really, really tough. Shitty pitch, you know, small rooms, small changing rooms. Possibly Ted. Possibly Morris. It's the David Moyes moment. Absolutely, yeah. It's happened quite a few lads who couldn't turn down big jobs and then all of a sudden failed massively. Like, it's happened Frank twice now that he's taken the Chelsea job, and twice he's gone ahead out with his tail between his legs.
I'd happily take the Chelsea job if they're going to pay me 20 million to feck off after 6 months. Not a problem. And you know something? I think going to Chelsea and leaving there and being sacked or whatever it is, I don't think it's as much a slur on your CV as if you went anywhere else and you're going off with a nice little shed load of money. Because the expectation there is you're only going to get 18 months anyway. I had a stat earlier. I don't know if you've seen it on that. They haven't scored in 4 games, the first time since 1993. And in those 4 games, they've had 3 managers. It's madness. It's just
Jesus
madness.
Christ, man.
How much money have they paid out in compensation over the years?
And somebody said that all Americans weren't the same. I would argue, if you have a look at our friend Joe, who's over here at the minute, they absolutely are.
It's the All Blacks, not the Black and Tans.
Jesus Christ.
Anymore. It's the All Blacks, not the Black and Tans. Ted's in as well, same thing. I'll take the Chelsea job and be fired the next day if they want. No bother. Absolutely, Ted. 100%. Listen, folks, great show. Thanks for joining us. I will be back over the weekend with a preview for the Leeds game. Not sure about the Monday matchup, what way it's going to go, because I'll be covering the Liverpool game and stuff like that before and after. Thank you to everyone in chat. Of course, go and subscribe to all the channels in there in the chat. Hit a like on the video, subscribe to the upper tier, hit that bell notification, and we will be back with you again real soon. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, pal.